Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Better Digital Marketing Podcast with me, your host, Ben Briggs. Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about digital marketing and digital sales. Um, Obviously, this is called the Better Digital Marketing Podcast, so it's already about digital marketing, but there's kind of this idea emerging, at least in some circles. Gary Vaynerchuk definitely talks about it. You can catch him on like the Gary V Experience podcast. He talks a lot about kind of digital marketing and digital sales, and he kind of puts digital sales, the way that he expresses it's basically the kind of marketing that to do it, you just really need to understand math. You just need somebody who's good at math to look at, how much am I spending on channel X, what's my return from channel X, and then shift dollars around to different channels to, figure out what the best way is to maximize your return on ad spend. And then he calls digital marketing more of a kind of a more traditional approach to building awareness and building a brand, and doing the kinds of activities that are involved with a more brand type approach, whereas the digital sales is more just about selling. And the reason why I think his insight is kind of important when we look at the context of selling stuff online. I mean, he was definitely a pioneer in email marketing and Google AdWords. He with the wine library, he took a local liquor store that his parents owned and turned it into a multi-million-dollar e-commerce business. So he did that with digital sales for the most part. I mean, when you look at back in the day when you could buy a paid Google click, for a nickel, for 5 cents, he was buying that cheap attention, and then he was selling those people wine. He was one of the only people that was selling wine online. So you can see why he calls, a channel like Google, a channel like search, digital sales, because he's just responding to the needs that the customer's already expressed. This is different than marketing because in what we're calling digital marketing here, you're making the first touch to the customer, maybe before they've even identified the problem. Maybe the customer doesn't even know that they have a problem. What your solution, what the solution that you're offering might be. So digital marketing is more, early touches, creating brand awareness, defining your brand to your audience, those kinds of activities. Digital sales is where your prospect has already identified that they have a need. Like they go to Google, like you don't search for emergency dentist, for instance, unless you've got a problem, and you need it solved pretty quickly. So if you are an emergency dentist and you want to sell to those people, then it's pretty simple. You buy that keyword, you put a website, you connect a website to your ad that reasonably answers the main questions that people are going to have when they're searching for an emergency dentist. Probably, are you open? Where are you? And that's about it. So when you've got these really high intent queries, you take a digital sales approach and you just simply satisfy the existing demand that's already out there for the service. There's a lot of different services where there's definitely a latent amount of demand. So no matter how much of a brand you build, no matter how much awareness is out there about you, a certain number of people are going to buy product X regardless. And addressing those people who have already decided that they're going to buy the product or the service that you sell, addressing that market in the most efficient way is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about digital sales. And that's so Samurai Direct Response, my agency, is focused on helping businesses optimize their digital sales for efficiency. So what we want to do is we want to find people who have already identified their need, people who already know they have a problem that your product or service will solve. getting those people to pick your brand over the other brands that are available, getting those customers to interact and purchase from your specific business. Now, how do we do that? Well, one big way that we do that is with paid search. Paid search allows us to immediately put whatever page of our website we want, whatever content that we want in front of a specific audience. So we take an audience who is specifically searching for these products and services. We do this in a little bit of a sophisticated way. We're not just entering broad match keywords and hoping that Google matches us up with the queries that we want in a cost-effective manner. No. We're taking a little bit of a sophisticated approach with making sure that our ad copy exactly matches to the keyword. It directly maps to it. It understands the customer intent of the search and helps customers self-select to make sure that the ones that are clicking on our ad that we're paying for those clicks are the customers who are actually going to make a purchase and are going to bring value for our business. So you start with pay-per-click when you're doing digital sales. There's other places that you could start, but starting with Google search and identifying the keywords that have that high purchase intent and that are likely to, if they're matched with some simple content that makes it easy for the customer to take the next step in the buying process, then we're able to profitably acquire customers that way. So it's the keyword is the first step, identifying the keywords that customers are typing in when they're ready to make a buying decision about the products and services that you sell, figuring out how much traffic is available, how much does that traffic cost, and that's going to be influenced by how many competitors we have. It's going to be influenced by how much traffic is available, and those are going to be the two major factors in identifying the scale of the campaign that we need to reach the goal of maximizing the efficient customers that we can generate from Google. So we've got the keyword that matches to the ad. We make sure that everything's really well optimized in terms of minimizing the amount of cost that we have to pay in order to buy that traffic and in order to attract those customers to our website. Then we look at the page that we're sending the customer to, and this could be called the landing page. Sometimes people call it a splash page. It could be a microsite where there's just a couple of different pages of information that the customer could interact with. But we use some simple principles of just relevancy, of just making sure that the content that we present to the customer aligns with what they basically told Google, and by extension told us that they that they wanted by typing in that particular keyword. So we match the keyword to the ad to the landing page, and then now we're capturing leads, right? So we've got the customer to our website. So then what we need to do is we need to capture some kind of information, usually an email address. It could be a phone number, name, email, company, website, all those types of information, especially if we're doing a B2B or if we're maybe generating mortgage or insurance leads. Then we're going to capture that customer information. We're going to start interacting. We're going to start interacting with email. We definitely should be using SMS if we're collecting email addresses. Then we should be using text as part of our digital sales funnel. So pay-per-click can be a solid source of traffic to get people initially to your website who are already interested in buying the products and services that you sell, and that's the start of the digital sales process. Then we want to capture those email addresses, and then we want to follow up with email. We want to capture phone numbers. We want to follow up with SMS, possibly voice calls, but definitely SMS because it can be fully automated. So these steps aren't really just a given. Like you're not, just because you can do math doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to be able to do a good job of understanding the customer intent of a particular search. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do a good job at mining your search queries to find negative keywords and to reduce the amount of clicks that you're getting from customers that don't have the kind of intent that you're looking for. Now, doing math is definitely helpful. Being able to do math is helpful in being able to execute against these kinds of tasks successfully. But just being able to do math doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to execute on all these tasks. And um, so, but the digital sales funnel, if you focus on digital sales, you can get a repeatable process that's going to give you a reliable return on ad spend in terms of generating new customers for your business from the set of customers who have already basically decided they're going to purchase your product anyway. Um, so the thing that one of the things that a lot of people do is they underinvest in the digital sales side of the house as opposed to digital marketing. So they might go out and just spend a bunch of money on Facebook ads to get a bunch of likes, or they might put a video on YouTube and just buy a ton of views, or spend their money offline in other ways that aren't building this reliable engine of customer generation, using Google as a source to get the traffic, whether that's mostly, I mean, paid is the simplest way to buy this traffic, because you've got you're paying per click. You're getting the customer immediately to your website, from these clicks. Whereas doing this through SEO, it's possible. It's got less control. You've got less data. It's definitely less reliable in terms of if I spend X, then I'm going to get Y traffic. Um, with paid search, we know what's going to happen, but with SEO, it's a little bit more of a question mark. But that doesn't mean that it's not valuable to invest in SEO. It could be that having a long-term presence on these keywords is going to be worth the amount of money that's going to take to build up the presence that's required to show up for these keywords. And in that case, it would make sense to invest in SEO as a traffic source. But in any case, again, what we're talking about is setting up and optimizing your digital funnel. So the first step is to set it up. You've got to the absolute minimum requirements that you're going to have to start this strategy is a Google Ads account. You're going to set up your campaigns, your ad groups, your keywords, and match your ad copy to your keywords. You're going to drive that traffic to a landing page, and that's where you're going to start collecting customer information. Now, it could be that you're an e-commerce merchant and you're just trying to get the user to create an account and then make a purchase. So an important step that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of is looking at the customers that you're attracting from your search campaigns, or maybe your Google Shopping campaigns, which are similar in a lot of ways, but a little bit different. But looking at the traffic that you're attracting from these channels in each step in the process, each step down the customer journey. So instead of just monitoring how many people are making a purchase, you could monitor how many people are adding an item to the cart, or how many people are signing up to receive your email newsletter. How many people are creating a customer account and connecting a credit card to it. These are all actions that most customers are going to take on the way to completing a purchase with you. So monitoring how your paid advertising is performing in terms of getting customers to take these valuable actions is a key data point in continuing to optimize your funnel, because you could find that some of your traffic is producing customers at a lower cost than some of your other traffic. So you might want to shift resources towards the most effective traffic sources. And if you've done that, if you've optimized your most efficient traffic sources and you're buying all the traffic that's available there, then maybe what you want to do is look at some keywords that weren't as productive but were maybe somewhat productive, in the initial test where you decided to shift the spend to your highest performing categories. Some of those lower performing categories, maybe you could change the landing page. Maybe you could add a call to action to capture emails, and then you could follow up with a short series of emails to nurture those customers, and then that would allow you to to buy that additional category of traffic and still do it profitably. So when you're thinking about digital sales, you should really be thinking about fairly low in the funnel traffic, people who have identified that they have a problem, people who are searching Google for a way to solve that problem, assuming that your product is a match for that customer, and you've got a high degree of confidence that that's the case, that your product is a good match for these customers. Then what you're going to do is you're going to start executing on this process. Now, just because you have a Google campaign in market, it's connected to a landing page, you've got some sort of email or at least inside sales follow-up process going on. That's just the start of the digital sales process, because whatever your return is, when you first set this up, it's going to be possible to improve that. It's going to be possible to, if you look at each step. So you look at how the keywords are matching to the ads, and is there anything that we can do with the ads? Is there anything that we can do with the ad extensions to maybe getting a higher click-through rate would be better? Maybe there are customers who are on the page who are choosing other options. They could be choosing you, and by tweaking the ads, you could get more of those people to your website, and that's going to allow you to generate more revenue. It could be that you're so another key testing point could be your lead capture form or your email capture call to action. So you could be testing two different pages to find out which headline is giving me a better conversion rate from similar traffic. Maybe it could be changing a video or changing your header image. The first image that somebody sees when they come to the landing page, that could be an element that drives more action. It could be that once you've got the email address, so you're following up with an email, you could test two different subject lines and find out which gets more opens or which gets more click-throughs to the website. So once you've put this digital sales funnel, this digital sales process in market, where you're buying relevant Google traffic, you're sending it to a landing page where you are attempting to improve over time the conversion rate, where you're trying to generate leads or generate online sales. Then your email, your SMS follow-up, maybe even manual customer service follow-up. But for the most part, what we're really trying to do with digital sales is increase the reliability and the frequency that we follow up with customers, and doing that at scale with technology, instead of having to follow up with our customers manually. You've got the CEO typing out emails following up with customers in some smaller companies, or even if it's just a frontline employee. If a frontline employee is sending out form emails, that could be optimized with technology, and we could be having those emails go out automatically to new leads, and then that would save us some cost of the hours that employee is spending on that task that they don't really need to be. So we want to look at the business as a whole. We want to look at the business process, the sales process. We also want to look at the technology that we can leverage to make things more efficient, to reduce our costs, and to increase the performance of the spend that we're putting in market. So again, digital marketing versus digital sales, it's definitely a key concept. At Samurai Direct Response, we really focus on the digital sales piece. We want to help our clients generate revenue profitably from customers that are already interested in your products and services. The vast majority of businesses are not optimized to this level. Even a lot of businesses that are spending a lot of money on Google Ads, they're not necessarily taking a scientific approach where we look at each step in the funnel and how can we improve it, and is there any place where we could easily be using technology to create additional customer touch points to do a better job of lead nurturing, and to capture more customers from the available market share of people who are going on Google and searching for solutions to their problems every single day. So I hope that helps explain a little bit about how at least I see digital marketing, digital sales, the differences between the two, and how we at Samurai Direct Response take a simple, straightforward, but sophisticated approach to increasing the performance of our Google Ads campaigns and our overall customer acquisition process. So thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Better Digital Marketing Podcast, and I hope this helps you do your digital marketing better.